You know it's a circus when the minister you've hired to handle your son's high-profile murder case, Lord have mercy, has the communication skills of a potato and the moral integrity of a used car salesman. Seriously, what you are about to watch, you are not going to believe. I need to ask, who hired this man? We're talking about Dominique Alexander, who is the family representative of the Karmelo Anthony family. Coming up next on Unshakable with April Chapman. Welcome to Unshakable with April Chapman, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Today, you guys, we are revisiting this story again. As you can see, I am not in my home studio. I'm actually working on a project. But so many people have been covering this, and as you know, I really wanted to weigh in because I am deeply troubled. And there's so many aspects of this case that did not have to go down the way it's going down. But it demonstrates that when you have people of poor character with no integrity and you hire them to represent you, they end up making things worse. So today we're going to be diving into the ongoing saga of the Karmelo Anthony case. And I mean it's a saga because at this point, the more dramatic things get, I'm like, okay, are we watching a daytime soap opera or a potential murder case? The illustrious advocate for the family, this Dominique Alexander character, he's a self-proclaimed minister, and I'm calling him a full-time race-baiting hustler because this man has decided to publicly lash out at everyone who has legitimate questions about this GoFundMe cash flow grift because the money is drying up and the family is asking for more money. Now, bless his heart. Bless this man's thumping gizzard. He thinks that everybody is stupid and he's the smartest person in the room. Now, the spoiler alert is he's not. There was this recent appearance of Dominique Alexander on News Nation, and I want you guys to watch it because what you're about to witness, you're going to see how not only is the math not mathing with the Karmelo Anthony family request. We're actually going to examine some tweets, but I want you to listen to how this man not only represents the family, but responds to questions after being given an opportunity to redeem himself and to tell the truth. So let's go ahead and take a look at this.
Good morning, Mark. Yeah, this case has become so polarized so quickly. I had the chance to speak with a representative of the Karmelo Anthony family, Minister Dominique Alexander. I asked him about Karmelo Anthony. I asked him about all the questions and the controversy swirling around this tragic case and the recent comparison this man made between Karmelo Anthony and Kyle Rittenhouse. Take a look. Does Karmelo Anthony feel remorse over killing Austin Metcalf?
I've never asked him that question.
Do you have any sense?
I don't know. Have not asked him that question directly. I believe the affidavit expressed what he felt at that moment, and I'll leave it at that.
Do you believe Karmelo Anthony is innocent even after he admitted this to police?
I believe Karmelo has the right to be able to create the same legal defense that anybody is afforded under these state of Texas laws and Constitution. I believe if Karmelo...
Listen, let's stop this right here. First of all, why is this man speaking? I don't know if the Karmelo Anthony family is just this socially unsophisticated. Where did y'all get this dude from? Why have you allowed him to speak on behalf of your family? Now, hear me clearly. Listen, I'm not saying that you need to be a Harvard PhD to be able to effectively, communicate. But if you are the family's advocate and this is how you show up in an interview, these questions are not difficult. I understand a lot of times families feel as if, I'm not media savvy. I don't really know what to say. And you're like, we don't have the money to hire like a PR firm to speak on our behalf. But if this case was really the way everybody was saying that it was, and that this was just self-defense, and these are just two young boys who, one felt threatened for his life, and in a split second, he made a decision that now, unfortunately, he is looking at a very long possible prison sentence. But to have this charlatan, this is my issue with Dominique Alexander. This News Nation reporter asked him a very specific question. And he asked him, have you talked to, Karmelo Anthony, and has he expressed any remorse to you? And a person who's supposed to be a preacher of the word, a minister, says, well, I've not asked him that question. I'm sorry, what? What do you mean you haven't asked him that question? How long has it been since this incident happened? And you're telling me you've not engaged with Karmelo Anthony in any way to ask him, does he experience remorse? Now, I get it. This is an ongoing investigation. The less you say, the better. Why are you doing media interviews? Why are you speaking at all? The actual family who has actually experienced a tragedy, they're not really saying much. They're not doing pressers. They're not calling press conferences. They're not really saying much. At the end of the day, they're just listen, we're trying to wait till we go to court and the truth is going to come out. But the family, who seems to have a lot to hide and where all the red flags are popping up, are doing most of the talking. But look at who they've hired to represent them. Why is this the man doing all of the talking? And why is he unable to communicate in a winsome fashion and answer any question that even makes sense or sounds as if he's advocating for the best interest of this young man? And he doesn't even seem like he wants to present this family in the best light possible. The more that this man speaks, the worse it gets. The less people are trusting, and the less he's the reason, truth be told, why the Dominique family, why the Karmelo Anthony family is unable to raise more money. He is the one that has placed a target on this young man to make everyone question motives and intentions and integrity, because this man demonstrates by his public actions that he has none. Let me go ahead. Let's let the video finish. We're going to let the video finish. But those were just the initial observations that I had when I first watched it. So let's continue.
Wants to display his self-defense claim, he should be entitled in the court of law without interference. That's what I believe.
Does Karmelo Anthony's family believe he is innocent?
I believe Karmelo Anthony's family wants the process for him to correction. I believe that the Anthony family wants to respect this process and get him prepared for his self-defense claim. I believe the Anthony family feels that, yes, Karmelo Anthony is innocent of this, and they are going to support Karmelo Anthony in this entire process in getting prepared.
Would you agree that the Metcalf family is the victim here?
Any loss of life is a tragedy. Any child that loses his life is a tragedy, no matter the circumstance.
Mr. Metcalf has said that he came there to pray with the family, but you had him removed. Why?
We wanted to give our children.
I don't know anything about Mr. Metcalf coming to pray about the family. He never expressed that to any of the staff.
You said the father being at this press conference is a disrespect to the dignity of his son. That was disrespectful. Just shows you all the character. He was not invited. You say it was a disrespect to the dignity of his son. Do you want to clarify that?
You know, at that time, I'm not above reproach or whatever.
What? Did this man say he's not above reproach? Sir, it's above reproach. Maybe if you had picked up the scriptures and knew the scriptures, you'd know above reproach and not above a reapproach. A reapproach is the attempt to... Let me calm down. See, I ain't home. Y'all got me wilding now. I'm getting hot, and that ain't good. So, and it's my fault. My sugar. Anyway, the News Nation reporter gave Dominique Alexander fumbled the ball here. This man was given an opportunity to correct the assertion that he made and to correct and actually apologize and show some humility regarding the statement that he initially made regarding it being disrespectful for Austin Metcalf's father to have showed up to that presser. If you guys remember, Austin Metcalf's father showed up to the presser. He says he was there to pray with the family, and it just could have been a very nice, not a nice time, but an opportunity for us to see that this isn't about race, that this is a tragic situation, but that we hold no ill will in our heart toward you guys. We just want justice to prevail and for us to be able to heal and move on. Dominique missed an opportunity. This is how I know he a snake in the grass and he a pulpit pimp, and all he has done is use this family's misfortune and this case in order to try to make a name for himself and his organization and to elevate himself as the next Al Sharpton 2.0 without the ultra perm. When the reporter asked him or questioned him about the statements that he made regarding Austin Metcalf's father, he's like, I mean, like at the time, like emotions were high. His answer should have been, in that moment, I was unaware of this gentleman's intentions, and I did not know that that's why he came. And I want to take this opportunity right now to apologize for my mischaracterization and my attacking of his character, and to me impugning an ill motive and ill will toward his attendance there. You know why? Because this is not about race. I'm not grifting. I'm not trying to exploit this family's pain for my own self-interest. I'm actually here because I believe in truth, and we want to just get to the bottom of what happened. And we want Karmelo Anthony to receive a fair trial, and we don't want this case to be weaponized to push a false narrative that Black people in this country can't get a fair trial and that everything is about race. See, he can't say that though, because he's a shyster. This man is not looking at this situation with a level head and with biblical justice on his purview. He's using this as an opportunity to push more victimhood narratives, and then, like I said, to bring notoriety to his little new next generation action network organization, and to position himself as the next ambulance chasing pulpit pimp that you call when something happens that involves ethnicity and you need someone to make a big noise and a big stink and to exploit the heck out of it. That's what this situation is. And to hear him fumble the ball again, this reporter just issued him an alley-oop. What not, is it called an alley-oop? What's it called again? Whatever. It's when basically you had the layup it was almost in the hoop. You had the layup. And instead of you operating from a place of moral character and just walking upright, not just before the Lord, but before the people, you hemming and hawing saying, well, emotions were high. I don't really know Austin Metcalf's father's intentions. He told you what his intentions were. Was that not good enough for you? So anyway, what I want to do now, I want to move on to some tweets. Because a lot of content creators, he keeps calling us these woke right operatives making content that's making it hard for Karmelo Anthony, when the truth of the matter is he's the one embarrassing the family, embarrassing the Black ethnicity as a whole, causing all this Black fatigue, and he is the one that's actually making it worse. So here's the tweet I want to show. Dominique Alexander tweeted this the other day. This is Sarah. All right, wrong tweet. That's not the right tweet we supposed to have. We supposed to have. That's the tweet. Woo. Okay, so you guys should be able to see on the screen. I am sharing. This is the tweet that Dominique Alexander put up. It says, "Stop spreading lies. Let's set the record straight. The amount of wild and false information being spread across social media is completely out of control." Now, I agree. Truth be told, I have seen some wild and crazy stories, but the stories that we've been seeing that's wild and crazy are actually the fabricated ones on the Karmelo Anthony side about him being jumped and all of this, on these other stories surrounding what really happened. At least that's what I've been seeing. Now, if there are alternate narratives on the other side, that could be true too, but I don't know anything about that. Then he goes, Karmelo Anthony did not submit a request for a court-appointed attorney. This is a flat-out lie. Okay, so many of us, if we've made content and said that he submitted a request for a court-appointed attorney, we have no problem retracting that. But I have reason to believe that that's not completely true because we have some other tweets that are going to prove otherwise. But let's just let him continue. He then goes on to say, when a case is indicted in Collin County, the court system automatically generates an indigent defense form. This happens for everyone, regardless of whether they've already have a private attorney. It's a standard system process. Now, when I read that, I said, that doesn't make sense. Because why would the courts automatically generate this without any evidence to support that the person who is indicted is experiencing a financial hardship? People get indicted every day. Everybody's not broke, busted, and disgusted. So where did this assertion come from? Now, the reason why I believe people like Dominique Alexander are saying things like this, cementing it in the internet for all the world to see, is because they really believe people are stupid. They believe people are so dumb that we're not going to go and research and try to either validate or disprove what he's actually saying here. He goes on to say, Attorney Mike Howard remains in constant communication with the Collin County District Attorney's Office and is still actively on the case. Okay, cool. He goes, we don't know who started this ridiculous rumor, but it is clear. Here it goes. Right-wing journalists and social media influencers are intentionally spreading lies to confuse the public, create chaos, and attack this family. First of all, I'm sick and tired of this family playing the victim card. Because if the facts are correct, he is the one who stabbed the boy. That is what actually happened. But the issue is, this didn't become racialized until this side racialized it. And the Metcalf family were the ones like, listen, let's not make this racial. Two young men, one's life is lost, the other one's life is going to be changed forever. Let's not racialize this. But all we heard was racist, white supremacist rhetoric from this clown right here. He then goes, these false narratives are being used by clickbait, or being used for clickbait, clout, and white supremacist agenda. See, there it is again. How is that the case? I am a black woman. I am not a white supremacist. Just because I fundamentally disagree with your race hustling grift game doesn't make me an apologist for white supremacy or a white supremacist grifter. I am interested in the truth. And if you were a preacher of the word, you'd be interested in what is true too. You wouldn't constantly be getting on here embarrassing this family with your ignorant inability to articulate basic words out the English language. What are you saying? Anyway, we're not litigating this case on social media. We agree. This is why we're trying to figure why you're still talking. You were making it harder for Karmelo Anthony to receive a fair trial because you've been trying to muddy the waters and make this all about race from the beginning. with your lying, scheming, grifting behind. Every time you open your mouth, you make it worse for this young man. If anything, I feel bad for Karmelo because his parents are unwise for even getting in bed with you and hiring you to represent them on their behalf. How are you an advocate? All you're doing is advocating for foolishness and you're making them look bad. And we actually wish you would sit down and shut up. That's what many of us actually want. He goes, we're not responding to every video or post. Nobody asked you to. This is a very high profile case, and many of us are making content because we want the truth and we want to dispel truth from lies, and we have every right to speak about this case publicly. Why don't you just own up and admit that you are the one that is a poor representative for this family? So you can crash out here on the Twitter all you want to, but you're the problem. He goes, we're not going to play into their trap. What trap? Either he did it or he didn't. Either what you're saying about the indigent status filing is true or it is not. This is real simple and binary for us. He goes, this case will be tried in a court of law, not in the court of public opinion. You mean like how you tried to actually litigate it in the court of public opinion from the first time you did that press release up until now? Because that's all you've been doing. Let's look at the other tweet. He continues, these false narratives are being used for clickbait. Oh, I said that already, right? He goes, we continue to fight for justice, truth, and a fair trial for Karmelo Anthony. Don't let lies distract you from that. All right, well, let's deal with the lies then, shall we? Because there is an investigative journalist who has done some research to disprove much of what Dominique Alexander has asserted. So this young woman here, Sarah Fields, has been keeping up with this case and keeping everybody abreast for a while. So she goes, false. This is not automatic. She's actually referring to Dominique Alexander's claims that the automatic filing of indigent status happens with every case when there's an indictment in Collin County. So she's already saying false. To request court-appointed counsel, the defendant needs to demonstrate to the court that they are indigent, i.e., unable to afford legal representation. She goes, this typically involves completing and submitting a form detailing the individual's income, expenses, and property belonging to Karmelo Anthony. So one of the main issues that a lot of people had was that, wait a minute, they're like, well, he's only 18 years old. Of course, he doesn't have any income or assets. But then people were saying, but the family started the GoFundMe account and now they have income, they have assets. Why would he be claiming indigent status when typically when your family loves you, they will crawl through hell and hot water to make sure that you have access to the money and the resources that you need to defend yourself. So a lot of people were saying, okay, we get it. He might be indigent, but is the family indigent too after raising $500,000 and then coming back asking for $1.39 million and some change? Then Shara goes, these forms may be obtained from the local county's website, the Texas Indigent Defense Commission's website, or directly from the court. The defense must request it. So this is not automatic, as Dominique Alexander has asserted. She says, submit paperwork and the approval process begins. So you got to request it, submit the paperwork, and then the approval process. Yes, for now, Mike Howard is his defense as listed on his court documents. This will not stop him from moving forward or moving to an assigned attorney later on. So as of now, we're trying to figure out, okay, is Dominique being Weasley with his words saying, well, Mike Alexander's his defense attorney? Yeah, probably like in the second you wrote this tweet. But what happens when the indigent application goes through the process and then it's approved? Then what happens? That's what Sarah Fields here is trying to clarify. She goes, furthermore, Because Karmelo Anthony was approved for indigent defense, it is likely that he will not receive a salaried public defender, but instead a private attorney who volunteered or will be appointed and will be paid by the county using taxpayer funds. It could actually be Mike Howard. In places like Holland County, this kind of defense is common practice. Private attorneys can request payment either as a flat fee or hourly, around $100 an hour in court and $75 an hour out of court with court approval. Then Sarah goes, don't mess with me. You're messing with the wrong journalist who actually understands how this works and does her research. Till next time, Dominique. So this is Sarah Alexander responding to the previous tweet that I just read you from Dominique Alexander. And then take a look at this one. Then Sarah Fields goes on and says, oh, and if this still isn't good enough for you, perhaps an email from Collin County Court about this process will also help you out here. So here she is showing the fee schedule for the indigent defense court appointed attorneys. And depending on the pleas, there is a fee schedule set and a price for how much these fees will be if you are approved for indigent status and you get a court appointed attorney. So I just wanted to highlight these tweets from this journalist because once again, people have legitimate concerns as to why is this family raising more money and then filing with the court or having Karmelo file with the court as indigent. Well, he might technically be indigent because he is he's not a minor anymore, but he's a young adult that doesn't have a job or career, no retirement, no property. But his family is out here raising a lot of money. Before this case, were they not both gainfully employed? Before this case, did they not own a home already? I don't know. I'm not trying to pocket watch their assets. However, if you are appealing to the public for money and you've already raised a little bit over $500,000 and then you're coming back asking for more money, the public has a right to know, well, sure, well, what the heck did you do with the first $500,000 that you already raised? Like, the people's issue is that there's a lack of transparency. You're being real Weasley with the words. You got this pulpit two-bit hustler, fake minister Dominique Alexander, who so many of us have been able to see right through him from the beginning. You've got him representing and speaking on behalf of the family, and he's probably with a third-grade education, and it's just making y'all look even worse. We're trying to figure out, why did you hire him? Where did you get him from? And why is he still speaking on your behalf? Because every time he opens his mouth, he makes you look worse. That is the issue that many of us are having. So I wanted to show you guys those tweets. And you saw the News Nation interview where Dominique had an opportunity to redeem himself and apologize, clear up some statements he may have made in the past. But I'm telling you, y'all, this ethnic narcissism, it blinds you so much so that when the truth is presented, if you're bowing the knee to the God of blackness, you're beholden, and that's where your loyalty lies, because it's an idol, right? You're glorying in your flesh. I really was not trying to turn this case into something, I hate using the term racialized, but to make it about ethnicity. Because to be honest, it's not. The case isn't about ethnicity, but the Anthony family side of the case, because this representative Dominique Alexander is a woke justician and an ethnic narcissist, and is used to using the plight and pain of Black people to constantly keep victimization on the forefront of your mind. You can't be held accountable for anything, even if you've allegedly murdered someone, without being provoked. It makes the entire Black race look bad, and it causes people to look at us with distrust and contempt, because it's like, dang, even in the face of observable reality, they still won't even bow the knee to what is true. They will stick and demonstrate race loyalty regardless of what happens. And so for me, I wanted to just do an update on this and cover this again to, one, show you the tweets, show you what Dominique Alexander has said, and then furthermore, just to highlight the fact that the entire situation, to me, this has just devolved into one big manipulative spectacle. It's a spectacle at this point. They want Karmelo's case. They don't want there to be any scrutiny, or they want to be above criticism, above reproach. Yet there are too many red flags that actually have even the pro-blackity blacks are like, wait a minute, you asking for more money, but what's going on with this? Something is not adding up. This is not making sense. And so, I want to end with this. Dominique Alexander and his ilk, like the Jamal Bryants of the world, the Al Sharptons, the Ben Crumps, they are a poor representation of any sort of moral, upright character, or just kind of operating in a spirit of integrity. And they are a poor representation of Black excellence, if there's such a thing. These are the people that need to be disavowed and shunned, because every time their grubby little hands are involved in something, it's always a lie. There's money involved. They're constantly running their mouth, but they're like if their mouth is moving, assume they are lying. And I feel bad, because I honestly believe that when all of the dust settles and Karmelo Anthony gets a little older and he looks back at this, he's going to see that, one, the people who were speaking for him and who were supposed to uphold a standard of righteousness in his life and hold him accountable were actually making it worse for him. This is not helping this young man, the way these people are moving and operating. All it's doing is making it worse, causing and creating more bitterness in the hearts and minds of average, everyday Americans who wanted to believe the best, but because of the representation, the people they have out in the forefront speaking on behalf of this family, it's making it look worse. But I'm curious to know, what do you guys think? Do you believe that Dominique Alexander is the two-bit race hustling grifter that I've described him to be, based on how he responded in the News Nation interview, based on what he has tweeted, and then the journalist Sarah, is it Foster or Sarah Fields? I think her name was Sarah Fields, coming back afterwards, dispelling and clearing up some of the myths that he was promoting? Or do you believe that, no matter what, Karmelo Anthony, he innocent, and the people representing him and speaking for him are the best representatives that could be out there, and they're helping him and not harming him? Whatever it is that you believe, or whatever side of this discussion you're landing on, I want to hear from you. This is my last day out shooting on location. I can't wait to get back to my studio, because this is awkward and it is weird, and I got to operate the whole show from this little iPad, and y'all already know I don't know what I'm doing. But I'm here. I am here because creating content and at least staying abreast of what's going on, it is super important to me. But whatever you guys think, let me know down in the comments below. And until next time, stand firm, stay biblical, and above all else, stay unshakable. Grace and peace.